Hey guys, I'm in my kitchen today and I have a little activity I want us to do before we read our story. Now, I have a bowl that has some milk and it has a little half and half in it for extra creaminess. And I'm putting few little dots of food coloring in it. And today we're thinking about kindness and how our words can affect other people. So we'll think that these little dots are people and maybe they're feeling kind of lonely, kind of isolated, kind of down. And then somebody comes along and says a kind word or does a kind deed. Just a very simple little act. But boy, can it have a big impact. Let's watch that for just a minute. You see how it has kind of a ripple effect? How one thing leads to another, and it spreads out and affects all kinds of people? We're going to let that kind of bubble a little bit while we have our story today. So, our story is one that you've heard before, and it's Chrysanthemum. So let's read it. This is by Kevin Henkes. The day she was born was the happiest day in her parents' lives. She's perfect, said her mother. Absolutely, said her father. And she was. She was absolutely perfect. Her name must be everything she is, said her mother. Her name must be absolutely perfect, said her father. And it was. Chrysanthemum. Her parents named her Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum grew and grew and grew, and when she was old enough to appreciate it, Chrysanthemum loved her name. She loved the way it sounded when her mother woke her up. She loved the way it sounded when her father called her for dinner. And she loved the way it sounded when she whispered it to herself in the bathroom mirror. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum loved the way her name looked when it was written in ink on an envelope. She loved the way it looked when it was written with icing on her birthday cake. And she loved the way it looked when she wrote it herself with a fat orange crown. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum thought her name was absolutely perfect. And then she started school. On the first day of school, Chrysanthemum wore her sunniest dress and her brightest smile, and she ran all the way. Hooray, said Chrysanthemum, school. But when Mrs. Chudd took roll call, everyone giggled upon hearing Chrysanthemum's name. And here's Mrs. Chudd's roll call. Don, Eve, Lois, Al, Les, Kay, Max, Sue, Bill, Pat, Tom, Sam, Ken, Joe, Rita, Victoria, and Chrysanthemum. It's so long, said Joe. It scarcely fits on your name tag, Rita said, pointing. I am named after my grandmother, said Victoria. You are named after a flower. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and informed Mrs. Chudd that Chrysanthemum's name was spelled with 13 letters. That's exactly half as many letters as there are in the entire alphabet, Victoria exclaimed. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chudd. Now put your head down. If I had a name like yours, I'd change it, Victoria said as the students lined up to go home. I wish I could, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Now let's stop and talk for just a minute. Victoria, Rita, and Joe did not hit her. They did not do anything that harmed her body, but they certainly did hurt her feelings. They dipped out of her bucket, and instead of her shaking it off, she's letting those words keep replaying in her head. She keeps hitting that replay button, which is causing more and more bad feelings for her. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. My name is too long. It scarcely fits on my name tag. And I'm named after a flower. "Oh, psh," said her mother. "Your name is beautiful and priceless and precious and fascinating and winsome," said her father. "It's everything you are," said her mother. "Absolutely perfect," said her father. Chrysanthemum felt much better after her favorite dinner of macaroni with cheese and ketchup, and an evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that her name was Jane, an extremely pleasant dream. Kind words made her feel better, didn't it? The next morning, Chrysanthemum wore her most comfortable jumper as she walked to school as slowly as she could. She dragged her feet in the dirt. "Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum," she wrote. "She even looks like a flower," said Victoria as Chrysanthemum entered the playground. "Let's pick her," said Rita, pointing. "Let's smell her," said Joe. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought her name was absolutely dreadful. She had always liked her name until these mean little girls were using unkind words. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and said, "A chrysanthemum is a flower. It lives in the garden with worms and other dirty things." "Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria," said Mrs. Chudd. "Now put your head down." "I just can't believe your name," Victoria said as the students lined up to go home. "Neither can I," thought Chrysanthemum miserably. If Chrysanthemum had just not worried about it when they first started teasing her about her name and just said, "I like it, I like my name," probably those girls would have left her alone, but they knew it was getting to her, and remember, that's what they want. Someone who's wanting to cause you to be upset, maybe they're even a bully. They want to see that upset on your face. "Welcome home," said her mother. "Welcome home," said her father. "School's no place for me," said Chrysanthemum. "They said I even look like a flower. They pretended to pick me and smell me." "Oh, psh," said her mother. "They're just jealous." "And envious and begrudging and discontented and jaundiced," said her father. "Who wouldn't be jealous of a name like yours?" said her mother. "After all, it's absolutely perfect," said her father. Chrysanthemum felt a trifle better after her favorite dessert, chocolate cake with buttercream frosting, and another evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that she really was a chrysanthemum. She sprouted leaves and petals. Victoria picked her and plucked the leaves and petals until one by one there was nothing left but a scrawny stem. It was the worst nightmare of Chrysanthemum's life. It's even starting to affect her sleep, isn't it? All this worry, all this replaying in her head, just replaying what those mean girls have said. Chrysanthemum wore her outfit with 7 pockets the next morning, and she loaded the pockets with her most prized possessions and her good luck charms. Chrysanthemum took the longest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each and every flower. "Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum," the flowers seemed to say. That morning, the students were introduced to Miss Twinkle, the music teacher. Her voice was like something out of a dream, as was everything else about her. The students were speechless. They thought Miss Twinkle was an indescribable wonder, and they went out of their way to make a nice impression. Miss Twinkle led the students in scales. La 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 la, la 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 la. Then she assigned roles for the class musicale. Victoria was chosen as the dainty fairy queen. Rita was chosen as the spiffy butterfly princess. Joe was chosen as the all-important pixie messenger. And Chrysanthemum was chosen as a daisy. "Chrysanthemum's a daisy, chrysanthemum's a daisy." Joe, Rita, and Victoria chanted, thinking it was wildly funny. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. "What is so humorous?" asked Miss Twinkle. "Chrysanthemum," was the answer. Her name is so long, said Joe. It scarcely fits on her name tag, said Rita, pointing. I am named after my grandmother, said Victoria. She's named after a flower. Oh, well, my name is long, said Miss Twinkle. It is, said Joe. And my name would scarcely fit on a name tag, said Miss Twinkle. It would, said Rita, pointing. And, said Miss Twinkle, I am named after a flower, too. You are, said Victoria. Yes, said Miss Twinkle. My name is Delphinium. Delphinium Twinkle. And if my baby is a girl, I'm considering Chrysanthemum as a name. I think it is absolutely perfect. Chrysanthemum could scarcely believe her ears. She blushed, she beamed, she bloomed. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Joe, Rita, and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum longingly. Call me Marigold, said Joe. I'm Carnation, said Rita, pointing. My name is Lily of the Valley, said Victoria. Chrysanthemum did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She knew it. Epilogue. Overall, the class musicale was a huge success. Chrysanthemum was absolutely perfect as a daisy. Victoria made the only mistake. She completely forgot her lines as the Dainty Fairy Queen. Chrysanthemum thought it was a bit funny, and she giggled throughout the entire dance of the flowers. Eventually, Miss Twinkle gave birth to a healthy baby girl, and of course, she named her Chrysanthemum. It was unkind words that brought her down, but it was just a few kind words that built her up. And we hope that Rita, Joe, and Victoria learn the power, much better power, in kind words than in mean words. Let's look back at our project. Wow!